Hi, I'm Brittany Allyn, and welcome to Savor the Flavors. Today I'll share with you one of my favorite vegetable side dishes, especially in the summer months when the garden is overflowing with zucchini and yellow squash. And as a bonus, I'll show you how to turn this side dish into a main course. I hope you enjoy my Italian Squash Medley. I started this by heating 2 teaspoons of olive oil in a large skillet, and I added 2 cloves of garlic that were slightly smashed. And what I'm doing is just sort of browning the garlic in that oil. And what that does is it infuses the oil with the garlic flavor, so it becomes part of the flavor profile but doesn't overwhelm the dish. So the garlic has done all it needs to do. Now I'm going to add some mushrooms. I have 8 ounces of white mushrooms that I've sliced here. And we're just going to get those sauteing for about 4 minutes. Give them a little stir here. Get those going. I have this, of course, over medium heat. Now, the other vegetables are squash. This is a squash medley. Here I have a zucchini and a yellow squash. When I go to the store, I try to find the largest yellow squash that I can and then find a zucchini that's about the same size because we want equal amounts. Now I'm just going to show you how I like to slice it. We want equal sized pieces so they'll cook evenly. So I just sort of cut it in half and then in half again, and then just get nice slices. Now, as you notice, I started the mushrooms a little earlier because they take a little longer to cook, and I want them more cooked than I do the zucchini and the yellow squash because I like the squash to be tender, but still a little al dente. Okay, now those mushrooms have started to cook. They're getting nice and tender, a little bit browned. That's perfect. We're gonna come over here, give them a little bit of a stir, and add our squash. Now, we're just going to let that saute for about 6 to 8 minutes, just until the squash gets nice and tender. While that's going on, I want to talk to you about another ingredient in this dish, and that is pine nuts. I love the texture and the flavor, but I like them toasted. I placed a small skillet on the stove over medium heat, added the pine nuts, and then just slowly stirred them until they got nice and toasted. As you can see, the squash and the zucchini are getting nice and tender. That's what we're looking for. I've got a few more ingredients here. I've got a teaspoon of fresh basil. I love the fresh basil in this because it is so aromatic. It's just beautiful. Now, if you don't have fresh basil, you could use dried basil. Just use half as much. And we need some salt and pepper, just a little seasoning like this. Just kind of lightly salt and pepper it. And freshly cracked black pepper, about like that. And we'll add those pine nuts that we toasted earlier for a little bit of crunch in this. Stir all that together. I wish you could smell that basil. It is so good. And just that little bit of garlic that we put in the oil, smells fabulous. Okay, now this is almost done. We have one more ingredient, and I like to top it with a little bit of mozzarella cheese. Here I have a ½ cup, and we'll just sort of put that over the top. And we're just going to let that melt and get nice and cheesy and gooey. And once that's done, I'm going to show you how to turn this side dish into a main course. I just had to taste. I love it that the veggies still have a little bit of bite to it. I love the crunch from the pine nuts, the creaminess from that cheese, and there's so much flavor from the basil and the garlic. This is delicious. Now, to make this a main course, here I have a wrap. You can use whatever kind you like. This is actually a spinach and herb wrap. And I also have some creamy Italian salad dressing, and I'm just going to take that and spread that around our wrap. And if you wanted, you could just add the mixture to the wrap and have a great vegetarian meal. But I like to make it a little more hearty. Earlier, I cooked some chicken. I took a large chicken breast and pounded it with the flat side of a meat tenderizer until it was all the same thickness. Then I lightly brushed both sides with extra virgin olive oil and seasoned it with sea salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Then I placed it on the grill and grilled it for about 3 minutes per side. I removed it, covered it with foil, and let it rest for about 10 minutes. And then I sliced it into very thin slices. Okay, I've spooned about 1/4 of the mixture on top of our wrap, and now I'm going to take some of our chicken and just sort of put a few strips across the top like this. And then we're just going to roll it up nice and tight. Get the sides turned in there. And keep rolling and tucking. And you get a nice wrap just like that. And then I like to cut it in half, usually on a diagonal because it's pretty. And look at that, look at all that goodness, those veggies and that chicken. Now, I would love for you to try this recipe one way or another. Either way, I hope you take time to savor the flavors.